Hi everybody and welcome back to another Legends of Runeterra video. Today we get kind of the second variety reveal. We got the first one a couple of days ago with all of the regions that weren't getting champions this expansion, and now today we have the cards, the variety cards that we're getting from regions who are receiving champions. So we got Shurima, we've got Ionia, and we have Targon. And first glance at these, they look pretty interesting. Some of them a little bit more interesting than others, but for the most part, pretty interesting. So let's go ahead and go through these right now. So the first card here, we'll just start down here, is the Profiteer. A 4-drop, a 5/3, so automatically we're thinking Reputation. And this is a Reputation card to work in line with Sivir's cards. So when I'm summoned, create a Lucky Find in hand. Lucky Find is the card produced by Paydays and Inner Sanctums. It's a 0-cost focus speed spell that we can get out. Gives you buffs, gives you keywords, things like that. And I mean, evaluating Profiteer just right off the bat, since it does kind of belong in this Sivir Reputation archetype, is that it is coming down on the same turn as Sivir. And then what other 4-drops do we have from Shurima? We got the Bakai Sand Spinner, which is also kind of a reputation card, granting vulnerable to an enemy and -1. So, I mean, I don't know. That card definitely does find its way, the Bakai Sand Spinner, into some reputation decks, but not all the time. So what does Profiteer offer that sort of archetype that Bakai Sand Spinner doesn't? I don't know that it necessarily hits reputation decks with Sivir, although it could. I think Lucky Find is just a little bit too unpredictable. Like Inner Sanctum has got a lot of experimentation and sort of fringe play with decks like Lee Sin or spell heavy decks, but I think it's just a little bit too random to be completely reliable, which makes me question Profiteer's reliability as well. Maybe we could experiment more with Lease Index and put this in as another way to get a Lucky Find. But I don't know, I'm a little skeptical of Profiteer. Interesting card, definitely going to experiment with it, but I almost think Bakai Sand Spinner is still a better card than Profiteer. Alright, so let's go ahead over here. This 3-drop, so again, it looks kind of like Reputation Synergy, and again, this is very similar to the Bakai Sand Spinner. This is a 3-drop instead of a 4-drop. It's a 4/3, and we're still granting an enemy vulnerable. So the same sort of ability. We don't get the -1 attack, which is definitely a downside. But yeah, it's fearsome, which is pretty good as well. So if we grant an enemy vulnerable, you know, we could get a pretty decent attack off with the fearsome unit if we grant vulnerable to a fearsome blocker. I can kind of see where they're going with this. Again, I say reputation. I guess it's more of a Renekton card now that I look at it a little bit more. Although it does have the potential of being buffed easily to reputation, but probably more Renekton card where we're granting vulnerable before Renekton comes out on turn 4. So, pretty interesting. I mean, this could definitely hit Renekton decks. I think a big problem with the Bakai Sand Spinner and Renekton decks is that it's coming out on the same turn again as Renekton is on turn 4. So this one's coming out earlier. We've got another vulnerable granter for Shurima, so we're not so dependent on things like Freljord or Demacia to pair with Renekton. So that's pretty cool. And it's a body with fearsome, so pretty good. Yeah, I see what they're doing here. I think this definitely fits into Renekton decks pretty easily. All right, on to the next one. Ionia, a 1-drop called Dancing Droplet. So this is an attune and elusive card. Ooh, that's interesting. Attune and elusive. When I'm recalled, draw 1. That seems pretty strong, actually. So not only are we getting this sort of attune synergy, or we're getting, you know, mana back every time we play this for the same mana that he's coming out to, by the way. And then when he's recalled, draw 1. Very interesting card. I really like the design of this card, actually. Ionia needs some strong cards right now, and hopefully they do a good job with Irelia. I'm sure they will. They've done pretty good, I think, with Malphite and Zillion, but Ionia, I think, just needs a lot of help in general. And Dancing Droplet is a very interesting card with synergy. Like, what's like the worst part about kind of this recall synergy? It's recalling your units and then having to play them to get more value, right? You have to play them again to get more value. So you recall them, you spend mana to recall them in pretty much any scenario. It always costs money or money. It always costs mana to recall, and then it costs mana to play them again. Dancing Droplet kind of at least alleviates one of those factors where it costs 1 mana and we are replacing 1 mana at the same time, and then we're also drawing one when it's recalled. So I understand what they're doing here. I really think that this actually goes a long ways into helping the sort of recall synergy and archetype, and it's replenishing your hand as well, which is really nice when I'm recalled to draw one. So I mean, I see the synergy with Homecoming here. We'll probably see some, well, I I'm guessing some sort of synergy with Irelia, but possibly not. Maybe more summon abilities with those blades and with Azir, but who knows? We could see some more recall synergy there. Very interesting card, and I really like what they're doing to help this recall mechanic and archetype. All right, a 5-drop fast speed spell from Ionia again. Shadows of the Past. Recall each ally. Some more recall. And summon a living shadow in its place. Is it going to show me living shadow to show you guys here? I guess I can't click on them yet. Anyway, living shadow is the card that Zed produces. It's a 3/2. It's like a shadow copy of himself that's ephemeral. Yeah, just a 3/2 card. We're replacing all of those. So I guess this is protection for your units, which is interesting. So this is very aggressive. So you can like put out all of your weak cards, right? Like this is a very interesting card. So what kind of cards work well with this? Things like these attune cards. So Eye of the Dragon, this Dancing Droplet. You know, I think Navori Highwayman, all these kind of weak cards that the enemy's like, oh, I'm going to get some pretty decent blocks into these enemies and take them out. And then you can use Shadows of the Past, replace all these cards with 3/2s, and then get some pretty sneaky kills onto the enemy units as well. So I kind of like the design of this card. It's pretty cool. I think there's some pretty cool things you can do about it, or do with it. And yeah, actually this is pretty exciting to build a deck around this, to be honest. You could do some really funny things to your opponent, especially if you got cheap cards that you can replay. All right, let's go on to the next one here. Eye of the Ra-Horak. So somebody quotes this in the game. There's a voice line that says Ra-Horak. I can't remember who it is. I think it's either Solari Soldier or Raven. But Eye of the Ra-Horak. Countdown 1. So this is a 5-drop with a countdown. So stun the 2 weakest enemies. And Daybreak. Oh, more Daybreak synergy. Yay. Finally more Daybreak cards. Daybreak is the most boring archetype in the game. You can quote me on that. And I think most people will probably agree. It's so linear. More Daybreak cards is awesome, I think. Just more play around and synergy with Daybreak is very, very much needed. All right, countdown 1, stun the 2 weakest enemies. Daybreak, summon a copy of me with countdown 2. So we just barely saw Malphite, right? Malphite has some sort of stun energy here. We got this 5-drop Malphite when you summon 12 plus mana. So we use this on Daybreak. All of a sudden, we've summoned 10 mana worth of landmarks on round 5. 2 rounds before Malphite's even coming out. And all we need is 2 more. Like, this is almost... do I want to go and say that? Like, okay, yeah, this is almost an auto-include in Malphite decks. This card is so good with Malphite. And it's from Targon. Now, we do sacrifice a ton of tempo this round 5. So I think this is actually more... This is a lot better if we have... if we attack on odds, a lot better than if we attack on evens. There's a couple reasons for that, because turn 5 is when we want to play it on our odd turn, right? And then it acts defensively on our opponent's attack the next turn. And then turn 7, we put out Malphite to get an automatic level up and attack and get and get, where's his spell? Where is it? Right here. Unstoppable Force upon his level up. So I would argue that this Eye of Ra-Horak is pretty much an auto include in Malphite decks. Really, really strong. So yeah, this is awesome if you've got odd attack. So yeah, we put this out turn 5, sacrifice a lot of tempo. We stun 2 of the weakest enemies the next round, and then the round after that, when Malphite comes out, we're stunning another 2 enemies. So yeah, pretty good. And then if they have any other or units that they can put out, we just use Unstoppable Force and stun the rest of them, basically. So really, really powerful card here. And we can pair this with Overwhelm cards as well on turn 6. So we can, like, Malphite actually is looking a little bit more, like, he seems very straightforward, but a lot of his cards actually, you have to think about timing of when to play them a lot in order to get these cards that you need to win the game. So I think this is actually Malphite, even though I think the archetype seems rather straightforward. I think it's actually got a higher ceiling than we may be giving it credit for. But I have the Ra-Horak, really good card for Malphite, I think. All right. This is the token card, I'm guessing, for Solari Sunhawk, a 2-drop. Another Daybreak card from Targon, 2/3 Daybreak. Stun the strongest enemy. Ooh, that's interesting. So the other 2-drop is a Solari Shield Bearer, right? So this Solari Shield Bearer is better for, I think, early game. And Solari Sunhawk, I think, is better for late game. You can get really decent stunts on 2 enemies. And then, yeah, I think this is a decent card. More stuns as well for Yasuo synergy too. Things like Eye of the Ra-Horak and Solari Sunhawk both stunning. That's actually some really decent Yasuo synergy we've got in this expansion all of a sudden. With these stuns and things, and even like Dancing Droplet recall synergy. So, and Shadows of the Past, all of this is actually pretty good synergy for Yasuo. Just barely realized that. Anyway, Solari Sunhawk, I don't know if this necessarily is good. Well, this probably won't be in a Malphite deck, but yeah. I have the Ra-Horak, I'm going back to this, definitely Malphite. Solari Sunhawk, probably a Yasuo synergy with Targon. And this probably, I know this doubles with Leona as well. So we can double this with Leona. Leona's either coming, or Leona on her level up, we use Daybreak, we'll stun 2 enemies with Solari Sunhawk. So again, pretty good synergy with Leona, Yasuo. Potential synergy with Malphite Yasuo, depending on how slow we can play the game. And where Yasuo is more of a control deck, actually, I think this pairs really well with Eye of the Ra-Horak, Malphite, and Yasuo. So that's my evaluation. A little bit jarbled today. I wasn't really expecting these cards, but we got some really interesting cards, and dare I say, interesting cards from Targon with Daybreak abilities. Yeah, I think those 2 are pretty good. Really excited about Dancing Droplet. The 2 from Shurima seem necessary maybe for archetypes, but not necessarily super interesting to play around. Shadows of the Past seems really intriguing. This could be a really good card in recall decks and a much needed boost for recall. And Dancing Droplet, I think, is just an excellent card itself too for recall synergy. Really, really good card here. I really like this Dancing Droplet and the design. So that's about it. Tell me what you guys think. Which one of these cards is your most are you most excited for? Which one are you excited to build around? And yeah, if you guys enjoy this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you tomorrow. Thanks.